Na wiosnę, kilka miesięcy po wypadku, pojechałem sam do naszego młyna w Burgundii, żeby malować. O tej porze roku jest tam przepięknie. Wśród owiec pasących się na łąkach biegają już młode i trzą swoje mamy. Okoliczne wzgórza ożywiają zakwitające drzewa i głogi. Naszło mnie niepohamowane pragnienie namalowania tego widomego dowodu ciągłości trwania.
We are now in the village of Moulin de Bruy, in the Moulin de Bruy, and this moulin is almost 300 years old, and we've been here now for 25 years.
Urodził się 7 listopada 1925 roku w Filadelfii, w katolickiej rodzinie robotniczej. Wharton to panieńskie nazwisko jego matki pochodzącej z Irlandii. Ojciec, z pochodzenia Francuz, przez całe życie pracował w fabryce. Jego jedyna siostra Jeanne wciąż żyje, choć walczy z rakiem. Ojciec chrzestny pisarza, William Wharton, nie miał własnych dzieci, tak więc pseudonim pisarski został wybrany na jego cześć.
Wiem, że próżny ze mnie sukinsyn, ale rzadko przyglądam się sobie z bliska. Jedynie wtedy, gdy maluję swój autoportret. Przypomina mi to sprawdzanie zegarka. Patrzę, ile mi jeszcze zostało czasu. Ile mi jeszcze mogło zostać.
Well, I am two people. I'm William Wharton, who writes books, and I am Bert Duhem, who paints paintings. And I am not a hippie, and I'm not a beatnik. I am just me. I don't enjoy uncomfortable clothing. I want to be comfortable. It is not that I'm trying to look like a hippie or anything else. This is the way I am. I feel like a beatnik in the sense of the word beatnik. Beatnik, not beaten. Fighting against the society. That's a beatnik. I'm a beatnik.
W czasie wojny służył w piechocie, walczył w Europie, był ranny. Podczas wakacji, miał wtedy 18 lat, spotkał i zakochał się w Rosemary Henry, która później została jego żoną. Od 46 lat są małżeństwem. Studia ukończył w 1949 roku ze specjalizacją z malarstwa i psychologii. W 1960 razem z żoną i trójką dzieci przeprowadził się do Europy, by uwolnić je spod przemożnego wpływu telewizji. We Francji w 1966 urodziło im się czwarte dziecko.
My name is William, and I am the son of William Wharton.
Which of the sons?
I am the baby of the family. I'm the youngest child.
Can you tell us something about your father? How is he?
He was a good father. He is a good father. He never forces us to be anything we do not want to be, and he gives us all the help that he is possible to give us to become what we want to be.
My daughters have said, "Dad, you're heavy." All right? I had them describe what was heavy, and they couldn't. It meant that it's their problem. They see what I say as more important than I see it. And both my son Will and Matthew independently each said that you are tough. You're tough in that you don't even notice if it's cold. You don't notice if it's hot. You don't notice if it's uncomfortable. That you're immune to everything. I think I'm more sensitive than most people. But I concentrate my sensitivity in my work.
Zamieszkali w centrum Paryża. W tym czasie Wharton sprzedawał wystarczająco dużo obrazów, aby mogli przeżyć. Bardzo skromnie, ale jednak przeżyć. Ich mieszkanie miało 30 metrów kwadratowych. Nie mieli jednak zbyt wielkich wymagań. Znali cenę bycia artystą.
Kiedy maluję kogoś innego, jesteśmy bardzo blisko siebie. Model, ja, sztalugi. Tworzymy trójkąt. Dotykamy się kolanami. Zaplątani w siebie, przytuleni do sztalug.
Painting is the language.
Yeah.
We don't have to talk about it.
Yeah,
The
of
more we
course.
talk about it,
It's-
the worse it is for the paintings.
Yeah.
It wears them down.
Why do you paint?
For pleasure and communication.
Communication with people. Then
I
why?
want to communicate my pleasure.
Yes, but you don't want to show your paintings
No.
to people.
No, because
Why not?
I found that showing got in the way of my pleasure.
Is it important for you what critic tell about your paintings?
When I had to sell paintings, it was,
Yeah.
because then I had to live. I had a family. I had nobody ever. But the critics was important to me because if they said the wrong things, we didn't get to eat. So I care about. I didn't paint to them. I listened to them. And that was a painful experience.
Do you think that your painting is traditional?
No.
Why not?
Why is it? I invented it.
Yeah, it's a little bit similar to, I don't know, to Impressionist or to Van Gogh paintings.
I'm not painting either to give the impression of light. I'm not painting to put colors in contrast with each other, which was part of the Impressionist movement. I paint to put together the third and the second dimension, and so that they're together in one picture. It's designed both in 3 dimensions and 2 dimensions. And when this happens, you have a beautiful painting, a meaningful painting. I'm figurative. I care about the visual world around me. Secondly, I feel the visual world has symbols in it that some can see and some can see, and making things more visible. Painting so that the symbols can come through you. Painting. I wanted to see if I could write a book and paint pictures which came together as a single unit, in which the pictures were not illustrations to the book, and the book was not text to the pictures, that they happened simultaneously, that they grew as one. So I went out in the streets where things happened to me and started painting, with looking around for the story, a person, something. And I came upon this old woman sitting at the base of the statue of Diderot, feeding the pigeons. Went over, she was wearing a red suit and had a white cane. And I like to talk to people. Went over and spoke to her, and turned out she was a comedian, and she was had diabetes and became blind and lived just around the corner. And we had a nice chat. Well, there I saw the beginning of my book. She became Mirabelle. I'm sitting in the place where Mirabelle was sitting when I first met her. Actually, she ran into me and she sat down here afterward, and I wiped the paint off of her clothes because I had been painting right over there when she came and ran into me. We are standing in the place of the intersection of the Rue Guizade and the Rue de Canet. It is here Mirabelle thought she could see the Place Saint-Sulpice fountain and the church of Saint-Sulpice, which is not possible. Right, this is the Rue de Ciseaux, and right here, in this house, is where Mirabelle lived. Number 5, Rue de Ciseaux. Numéro 5, Rue de Ciseaux.
Mirabel, skusiłaś mnie. Muszę zrobić to samo, co ty tak wiele lat temu, albo nigdy nie będę w stanie namalować tego placu tak, jak powinienem.
It was in this tower here where Mirabelle is laid to rest for the last time, with her portrait and her pigeons around her. You can see where the bells sound, and there was a heavy beam of wood which held the bells. And it was here on this piece of wood that Mirabelle was placed. I had a great part of that experience, except I was lucky enough not to marry a woman who ran off with a French teacher. There wouldn't have been a book without that. My wife, my real wife, is very much like Mirabelle, in that she's calm and considerate and interested in the things of life, and an important person, as Mirabelle is.
Doszedł do wniosku, że jego malarstwo potrzebuje plenerów. Tak więc w szare, mroźne, zimowe dni coraz poważniej zajmował się pisaniem. Nie pisał dla szerszej publiczności. O przeczytanie tych książek prosił tylko przyjaciół, traktując je jak listy o tym, co mu w duszy gra.
Not at all. At university, I managed to get out of my English classes by petition, and I've not since high school really had any training in literature, except my wife. She trains me. I learned how to compose and how to think in abstract terms as a painter. And it just directly relates to writing, and especially novel level, because I don't paint murals and I don't paint gigantic paintings. I paint a painting which just encloses exactly what you can see, a nice about that size canvas, which is here I can just see my hands. After that, it's invisible. All right, so I paint it, and I do books which are in the same category. They're novels. They take a small slice of life. And when I published the Birdie, and they paid me an enormous sum of money, more than I had made in my whole life as a painter. 25 years in one book. It was unreal, and my wife and I had to decide what to do. That we knew that this was more than enough. We had enough already. And here was going to come this superfluous money into our lives, and it could destroy our lives, and we liked our lives. First of all, we decided I would never sell another painting. That was decision one. And I have not sold a painting, and this has been 16 years now. In addition, we decided not to change our way of life. And what we did then was to spend the money helping our children go through school, and also we bought an old hotel bar restaurant in a place called the Wharton, which is in Burgundy in France. And I have 110 paintings on the walls and another 800 paintings stored. I live in the world, and everything in the world makes my life. The beauty I see around me ties me into the world. And when I can express these things in a personal, intimate way, it's much more direct than to reduce my thoughts first to words in a conversation, and even worse yet, into words and letters, little tiny marks on a page. That's a long way from direct communication. I became more complicated, more sophisticated, and I went to working on the video camera and telling this tale, which is in my head, right off on the camera. The last 3 books I did straight from the videotape. Well, I think language is basically oral. It starts out with storytelling, and it's words. And both in terms of the video image and the audio image, I'm getting something that gives me information that I really need in terms of tone and in terms of sequencing. And if I just write it out in those little tiny squiggles we call letters and words, it's so artificial.
I have dreamed and worked toward this chance to go and be the mate to the first super fox on Earth.
So Frankie and Vivian together went to I write in the first person present because I feel writing in the third person past is a remnant of the theater, where they had the proscenium to separate the audience from the actors. That's the last thing I want, is to separate the audience, the reader, from the actor, me. And that's what it's all about, is becoming close, coming together. I always identify with the people I write about, but in different phases of myself. When I'm writing about myself when I'm 8 years old, as in Birdie, as in Pride, that's a different identity, and I can remember it as clear as if it were yesterday. When I'm Jacques, relating to Mirabelle, and Mirabelle when I'm 71 and a woman, I relate to those people. I become those people, because that's what I want my readers to have happen to them.
I know the full story of Tidings because he always tells the stories to us. During the time that he is writing them. But because they change 3, 4 or more times during the time he writes it, well, I'm sure I know Bill, but I don't know which Bill I know. Some things are me at that age, some things are reversed, and some things, because they were necessary, are made up. Yes, I identify with him, but he is not completely me.
Skąd się tutaj wziąłem? Czy to strach przed życiem przywiódł mnie tutaj i zmusił do przekroczenia rytualnego kręgu? Gdzie straciłem kontakt z rzeczywistością, którą postrzegają wszyscy normalni ludzie, i wstąpiłem w krainę fantazji? Co mogę zrobić, żeby spory nie zakłócały świąt? Czy nauczyć się w końcu tolerancji i okazać wspaniałomyślność, choć ludzie ranią mnie na każdym kroku? Oceniam obecną sytuację, w której znalazłem się przygnieciony wielkim zielonym drzewem. Staram się nie rozpłakać.
The idea of the anti-hero, which has become so popular, of having someone tell the story who is not likable. I'm not interested. I want my person to be a hero There are heroic aspects in everyone. And when I write, I'm not going to write a person that I don't like, because I'm writing in the first person. And if I didn't like myself, I could never write. I wouldn't bother to write, because I wouldn't like people either. And I do like people, and I do like life, and I like myself. So the characters I write about are likable people. I think we do need an antidote against all the negative feelings, the media, the television, the films, talk shows, all the rest of it, which is all very negative, mostly. And I think we need someone to be the antidote, and in a sense, I'm one of the antidotes. I'm not the only one, and I don't write sentimental trash, and I don't go Pandora. I write truly from my heart, and what I feel, and my desires, and my convictions, and if someone feels that's too good, then I'm really sorry for them that they feel this way, because their life must be awful. There's many religious themes in my books, and one of them is in the book Tidings. In the Bible, the angels come and say to the shepherds, we bring to you tidings of great joy. And there is a Christmas carol in English which goes like this. On the first day of Christmas, my true love said to me, a partridge in a pear tree. On the second day of Christmas, my true love gave to me 2 turtle doves and a partridge in a pear tree. On the third day of Christmas, my true love gave to me 3 French hens, 2 turtle doves, and a partridge in a pear tree. On the fourth day of Christmas, my true love gave to me 4 swimming birds, 3 French hens, 2 turtle doves, and a partridge in a pear tree. And on the 5th day of Christmas, my true love gave to me 5 golden rings, 4 calling birds, 3 French hens, 2 turtle doves, and a partridge in a pear tree.
My father wants grandchildren, more grandchildren. So whenever there is a nice young woman who writes to him about his books, and he is so busy he does not have the time to answer all the people, he can answer only some people, because that is the way it is. So whenever there is a nice young woman who seems to be intelligent and capable and has read the book carefully, he asks me to answer her. And if it is someone really interesting, I try to get him to write to her instead.
Please, sir, we can just pound it down, the nails will go right into it.
Okay. Now you hold it. In general, I try to write in such a way that it isn't designed to any particular age group. And I'm surprised. You must have exceptional young people in Poland, because it's my writing is very complex and simple looking if you don't really look at it. The words, I pick the easiest simple words and I write them in the shortest phrases without going into Hemingway's or anything. I try to write very directly from the heart to the heart. And for some people this is naive, because that's what the definition of naive almost is someone who believes that you can speak from the heart and someone can listen from the heart. Well, it makes me very happy to think that there might be young people, the ones I'd like to believe the books and listen, be changed by them, read and listen to my books.
Do you consider yourself as a very famous writer, like Marcel Proust, or I don't know, somebody who...
I'm better than Marcel Proust. I mean, he couldn't put a plot together. He could write about unbelievable characters or staying awake and not being able to sleep. All downhill, all negative. I'm sorry. If I don't write better than Marcel Proust, I'll stop writing. In my life, my books, it's not a horse race, and I'm not running races against any other writer. I run my own race to my own time and to my own beat. I don't have great confidence in critics. They tend to be people who wanted to be writers and can't write, all right? And they look for something negative to say because they're not serious unless they're negative. So I don't read the critiques and I don't care about the critics. Sorry. Publishing has built into it the word public. You are going public. So therefore, I feel that writing, for me, is a lesser skill. I enjoy it very much, but I feel that painting, and now I'm getting older, and I have less energy, and I have to decide my balance of time. I'm definitely finding that the painting is losing. It's so demanding, so hard to do, that as much as I know it's so important, I love to do it, it kills me. I come home, I can barely walk home, just dead tired. Oh, this is never the case with writing. Writing is easy.
In your books, you will find very often very naturalistic description. Aren't you a little bit exhibitionist?
Everybody goes to the toilet 2 or 3 times a day. Everybody, if they're lucky, has sex. And it's a part of life. And to write books in which this doesn't happen is like writing a book about people not breathing. It's essential to life. You can't live without those things. And I want my books to be alive. That's not exhibitionism. I think I'm a good storyteller. But I'm not a writer. I'm a painter.
Udawałem, że jestem ptakiem. Teraz udaję, że jestem sobą. To też nie jest cała prawda. Nie wiem, kim naprawdę jestem.
No one I know can put 100% into everything. If they put 100% into brushing their teeth, they're not going to have much left over to eat their breakfast. And if they put 100% into eating breakfast, they're never going to get to lunch, etc. You've got to choose your battlegrounds, your areas where you're going to put 100%. For me, it's writing and painting, and it's my family. I have 3, and that's almost more than I can handle, to be perfectly honest. I'm at the edge of what's possible.
Why did you hide from journalists?
Because my private life was so valuable to me. And I have seen in our times how a public life is no life. The more that you let yourself be eaten by others or eat others, the less your life is. And I didn't want that. My work was communication. The reason for it is to share with others. I did that in my painting and in my writing. I didn't want to share my life. When I agreed to publish my first book, I would only do it on the condition that I used another name and no one ever knew I used another name, that there really was a William Wharton.
So what happened that your name was given to the journalists?
It wasn't really. I began to realize that I wasn't going to be able to stop field burning. I had to go out, and then it was impossible to keep. They knew the name of my daughter, books, who I was her father. That was the end. And I came out for that. And
It's right there on the counter.
and even doing this now, it's the next step in probably the last. Maybe I'll choose a new pseudonym. I don't know. That's about it.
Gdzieś tam daleko jest ocean. Ogarnia mnie obezwładniający spokój. Czuję, że jestem gotów na wszystko. No, prawie wszystko.
The pain that I'm going to cause others, including my wife and children, when I die, is perhaps necessary for them, as my father's death was necessary for me. And in the book Dad, I talk about this. At the very end of the book, I talk about my fear of what the process of getting older and dying is, and at the same time, as the fact of coming down in the airport into Los Angeles, I really give a symbol of what I'm coming to see about the nature of death.
Prawda. W dniu 3 sierpnia 1988 roku pierworodna córka Williama Whartona razem ze swoim mężem i 2 dzieci spaliła się żywcem w pożarze, który wzniecił farmer wypalający swoje pole. Ogień rozprzestrzenił się na autostradę numer 5 w Oregonie i stał się przyczyną karambolu, w którym zderzyło się 40 samochodów.
Love is togetherness. And to separate them even as ashes is wrong. So they burned them all together.
Mamy 2 prywatne pomniki. 2 zegary słoneczne zrobione z kamieni młyńskich, które wzięliśmy z naszego młyna we Francji. Jeden pomnik ustawiliśmy nad brzegiem stawu. W środku kamienia złożyliśmy prochy naszych zmarłych. Drugi znajduje się na kawałku ziemi, który Kate dostała jako prezent ślubny.
I grieved, I've been angry, I fought, and now I accept. This is the last thing I'll do in terms of trying to make sense, from my point of view, of my daughter and her husband and their 2 little girls' life and death. Now I'm more fatalistic. And it was supposed to happen. Do I have a particular religion with which I identify? No. I was born up with one religion. I rejected it very early. And then I went through a search. When I was in the military in the United States, I would go from church to church, from the Methodists to the Episcopalians to the Mormons, the Steiner School, looking for someone who had something that made sense to me as a way of life. And they all failed. But I realized as I've grown that I am a deeply spiritual person, so much so it scares some people, frightens them. Because most people are not. They don't recognize. They are, but they don't recognize. They deny their spirit. The acceptance of violent death, whether it's in a war or in an automobile, and all its stupidity and ugliness, is as nothing compared to the release of the spirit. Their spirits were relieved. My brother-in-law's spirit came to see me, and this is absolutely true what happened to me. this carrying out the wishes of the spirit of my brother-in-law, who was so strong that he could break through the barriers and make me know, and all he said, don't worry, we're happy, and we're together. If you're lucky enough to have an experience like this, you know that there's a spirit, and it lives. It changed me. My efforts then to see that it didn't happen again to anyone else have been intensive, taken up a good part of my life since then. Not just in terms of writing the book, but speaking on television, radio, going around talking, donating money, helping people who are trying to stop the field burning. I'm not alone. People have been trying to stop it for a long time.
And this is how the idea of the book was born.
Yes. I couldn't write it for 2 years. Every time I'd start, I'd cry.
And now when the book is published, and probably the film will be made soon, how do you feel? Do you feel that you failed?
No. I did everything possible to carry out the mandate of Bill. Now I feel free. They're gone. I feel that they have a better life than I'm having. Whatever it is, they seemed happy. I realized that in the end, it was only my anger. Grief often goes into anger. And in my case, because of my nature, got to be very strong, and it was ruining my life, my wife's, my children. So when this is over, fini. Whether it succeeds or not, I've done it. Death is rebirth. Whatever birth is, it's difficult to know. We talk about conception and we talk about all these things, but it's only very technical, scientific ways we know. We really don't understand what it is to be born. We don't understand. Well, it's the same thing with death. You come up to death. If you come up to death frightened of adventure, frightened of change, then you're frightened of death. But if you're not, I'm not. So death to me is a new adventure.